Humor Master? We don't have one of those. Educational tips there. I guess we'll get those later. Speaker one is Laura. I have them.
All right, good evening, dear Toastmasters and guests. Let's start. I invite you all to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I am sure that most of you, at least if everything went right, you should have received an email by Toastmasters International explaining to you how you can access your member account. And one of the very exciting elements of your account would be accessing the Pathways evaluation. It's a quiz you can take to see what kind of track or pathway, I should say, you would be a good fit for you. So I did my quiz and my result was innovative communicator. So I'm very excited to do that pathway. Jim has a worksheet for you that will explain a little bit about that and how to take that evaluation. Moreover, Bruce Garrett, who is the area director from Toastmasters International, he will also visit our club here September 30th, so please plan to be in attendance because that is going to be an important meeting for sure. That being said, our team tonight is Michael Hornis as the Toastmaster, Word of the Day, our counter, and grammarian, Teresa Hernandez, the general evaluator, Sean Adams, the first evaluator, Harlan, the second evaluator, myself, and then we have Craig as the timer, and Table Topics Master, Andrea Ferguson, and I think that is it. At this point, I invite Michael to start off the meeting for us.
Welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here today. As Shankar said, the WAG for the day is Teresa Hernandez, and so I would like to start off by asking Teresa if she could tell us what the word of the day is.
Can I stay here?
You can if you would like.
Okay, cool. So the word of the day, I gotta give myself one going. Logy, and it's spelled L-O-G-Y. It's part of this speech is adjective, lacking vitality, sluggish, or lethargic. It's Monday. I felt like it was appropriate.
Teresa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was a bit logy today as I was getting out of bed. I was supposed to be getting up and going to the gym, but the weekend adventures slowed me down enough to where that did not happen, and my child got up at 3 o'clock this morning, and that furthered my logy because I was not going to be running on 4 hours of sleep. However, tomorrow there will be no logy, and I will be running at the gym. So Shankar has spoke about the others who are going to be working tonight as the evaluators, both the general evaluators and the first and the second evaluator. Craig will be the timer today, and I wanted to give Craig an opportunity to explain the process by which we have the green, the yellow, and the red, so that everybody understands that. Craig, can you do that for us?
For everyone to know, we have 2 icebreakers tonight. Those speeches run 4 to 6 minutes. At 4 minutes, that's the minimum time. I will give the sign, a green sign. It says you have met your minimum. At 5 minutes, that sign will turn yellow, which means you have 1 minute left. And at 6 minutes, it will turn red, which means that you have 30 seconds to wrap up. The light will remain red until you are done. For table topics, it's 1 to 2 minutes. When you reach your minimum at 1 minute, get the green. At 1 minute, 30 seconds, it's the yellow. And at 2 minutes is the red. And again, you have 30 seconds to wrap up, or you're disqualified, which we can talk about at some other point. And finally, evaluators. Each evaluation is 2 to 3 minutes, so you get the green light at 2 minutes, the yellow light at 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and the red light at 3. Once again, you have 30 seconds to wrap it up. And that's what I will do as your timer tonight. There's Toastmaster. Awesome.
Thank you. Before we get started, wow, I keep saying it over and over again. This is a fun part about this. Before we get started, I would like to introduce Steve Perry to us. He is a guest this evening, so we are a new organization, and we have a really good group. Everybody is pretty excited about it all the time. I'm probably the worst attended member right now. So, this is a fantastic place, and if you have time on Monday evenings to come by and participate, it's a great way to better your public speaking skills. I think we all have a reason to continue to work through that process. So, welcome. Thank you for being here. Moving on, our first speaker is Laura Farias. She works at the Northeast Lakeview College, born and raised in San Antonio. She is a former teacher, and she is self-proclaimed excited to be a part of this organization. I don't know what Laura is going to be speaking on tonight because I didn't have that listed down, and I failed to get that as the Toastmaster, but I would like to welcome Laura up.
So my opening would be, let you know what I would like to discuss, and that is the theme of being driven. So throughout my life, I've been driven in many different ways. As a child, our family was transported in a 1955 yellow Chevy. So there were 4 of us until the number 5 and 6 came up. We used that Chevy. Later on, it was converted into a blue Ford station wagon. When we were told, get in the car, it's time to go, then we would dash so that the first one in the car could be in the little shelf behind the rear view mirror or rear view windshield so that we could look at the sky, enjoy the travels, and have a wonderful adventure with the family. We were driven back there by my parents. Anywhere they wanted to go, we went. Of course, we were all excited. We didn't have any choice, but we did have tons of fun, laughter, and excitement. And like I said with every call, we're leaving. Everyone go to the bathroom. My mom would add, because of eventually 6 kids, because we're not stopping. As a second grader, I learned that the road to freedom required 2 things. A belief in Santa. B, that you will write in your letter, request a bike for Christmas. So that bike came, Santa was my benefactor, and I will gladly pay the price of skinned knees and elbows. And finally, I was able to cruise out the driveway, take a right, go to the end of the block and come back, go to the end of the block and come back, go to the end of the block. That's all I could do. My parents would not let me leave their sight, but I loved it. So that was my first adventure and sense of freedom. Eventually, that blue glittered banana seat became a 10-speed. And I was free to roam further with my friends. That was about middle school. As a teenager in high school, my friends had cars, but I didn't, and I was not to be deterred. Via Via was my freedom. The bus took me to the library, would take me to work, and I was finding my own vehicles to travel in because I wanted to choose my life's adventures. I was driven by my need to travel and experience more adventure than the south side of San Antonio. So with that, I decided to leave Texas to attend the University of Notre Dame in Indiana. And upon graduation from Burbank High School, I was driven because I wanted to be someone amazing. Only this time I needed a plane. And then the adventures by train, plane, and automobile took me to Cincinnati to pick apples for the first time. New York, that was before the Twin Towers were destroyed. And the beaches of Florida for spring break. Of course, all points between South Bend and San Antonio were seen as we would drive back and forth to take me to school or pick me up. Then I became a real adult. I purchased my first car, which was a 1980 silver Honda Accord. I had a job, a real job, and I met my future husband. Now, my selfish destinations were our agreed upon adventures as a wife. I was a wife and mom. We started a new family. The cyclical patterns of life were now driven by our need to take our children, or take care of our children, or educate our children. And that required a ridiculously large green Suburban. We called it the Green Monster. We were driven to be an adventurous family of 6. I had 1 son and 3 daughters. That glorious trip lasted 24 years and 4 months. It's been 11 years, 3 months, and 16 days ago, our beautiful adventure at the beach was finished when my husband ended his adventure and he started his universal afterlife. So my new vehicle for getting through life was changed from a wife mother to a widow mother. Now I was driven to be everything for my 2 youngest daughters. The hardest drives of my life were the drive home from that beach, the drives alone to work, the drive to drop my oldest daughter back at college to finish her senior year, and any and all school events, multiple drives to various hospitals, to admit my youngest daughter after she suffered from eating disorder and suicidal tendencies. The drive to the church when my son was married, and drive to Chicago to visit my grandson for the first time. But that was after they got their divorce. Now all those journeys, they're memories, and my youngest daughter's now 20. She's amazing and the strongest of all 4 of my kids. My new life is out of a single, almost retired empty nester, and my vehicle of choice is small, gets lots of mileage, and only holds the baggage I choose to keep. I've been driven my whole life, and the adventure has been and will continue to be an exciting journey with memories, family, hope, and love packed and ready to go. I've learned a lot along the way, and I'll always remember to go to the bathroom before I leave. But I'm in charge, and I'll definitely stop whenever I want to and wherever I want to. That's it.
That was awesome. All the logi that I had in my day is all gone now. So that picks people up. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing today. Our second speaker today is Donna Louder. Donna is the boss at the City Hall. Everybody who works here knows that, and everybody who knows Donna and works with us also knows that. Donna is amazing. Donna is a wife and a mother to bonus babies, and she is fantastic. And we love Donna here at the City of Live Oak. So please help me welcome Donna. And before I make my mistake, Donna is going to speaking about I like who I have become and see in the mirror, which mirrors what you were just saying.
The person that you see tonight is really just a little girl that fought hard to be exactly where she is today and who she is today. I battled a lot of demons and experienced a lot of things that no little girl should ever have to experience. I love my family and friends unconditionally. I can still, to this day, believe that there is good in the world and that there's good people out there. Been through a lot of stuff, and at the age of 7, I found myself meeting the devil and living in a hell that I thought I would never get out of, nor did I ever think I'd be standing somewhere like this and saying something in public about it. You see, at the age of 7, my world was turned upside down by the 2 people I loved and cherished the most, which was my parents. We were living in Saudi Arabia, and one night after a large argument, they came in to tell us that they were getting a divorce. Now, this is waking 3 children up from a dead sleep. We were pretty low-G at that point, and we had to decide right then and there. And so as the oldest of three, I was the spokesperson that spoke for all of us. And in my 7-year-old mind, it was a hard decision. And I didn't know that what I would say was going to change the course of my path and the paths of my siblings forever. Soon after that horrific night in Saudi, we were off to the United States of America, which we had not lived very much there at all. So it was a small town that we moved to with our grandparents. Like any other American family, we lived a normal life up to that point. We had, except our dad wasn't down the street, nor was he in shirts, nor was he in Louisiana. He was in the Middle East still, living there and working. We would have visitations in the summer, and for the next 2 years, my mom would begin to date and bring men in and out of our home and trying to look for husband number 2. And I'll call him number 2 tonight because his name does not deserve to be respected upon my lips. She did finally decide on a man that was younger. He was 12 years younger, and from that day one, I knew, or my mom thought, she had found the one. I knew from day one that I had just met the devil and he was now living in our home. I attempted several times as a little girl to tell my mom, just run, get out of this, it's not good. She only laughed or ignored me. My physical and sexual abuse began immediately. Hell would be a part of my siblings' life and my life for a long, long time. My mother, on the other hand, she lived a whirlwind of a romance. She added another baby to our family, a baby girl, and my abuse would last 4 long years. My outcries would fall on deaf ears. To adults and teachers, back in the 70s, no one was, by law, to say anything. No one wanted to get involved at all. Except for my sister. She divulged the dirty little secret during a summer break to my dad and my aunt. And after that, my world again was turned upside down by my father. However, this time was to protect me and give me peace. Even though I knew it would mean telling a bunch of judges or attorneys my story over and over again till the proceedings started, that was what I was willing to do because I had had peace for the first time. My mother never admitted during those court proceedings of any knowledge about the abuse, nor would she consider saying anything, sorry, anything. She stayed with that husband number 2 for quite some time, and she lost 3 of her 4 children. Years later, at 53 years old, I still struggle with good days, bad days. There can be a smell, there can be a song, there can just be talk about camping, and it all brings it back to that very dark place. To this day, again, my mom, she's 72. I have a hard relationship with her. She still will not even say, I'm sorry, I didn't know about it, I knew about it. I don't care what she would say, I just wanted her to say something, but she won't. After all of this, I can still love unconditionally. I have fabulous friends and friendships. And I have 2 beautiful children to say that I've got some successes out there. I protect them. I try to protect them in any way, all their lives, and I will continue till the day I die. I will fight this demon until I die, and I will win every time because I'm Donna Marie Louder, and I love who I am, and I like who I see in the mirror.
So this is going to be that kind of day. Thank you, Donna. That's a big thing to share in front of everybody. And I would like to say on behalf of the entire group that I appreciate that you trust us enough to do that. And that's a testament to you and to this group, and thank you so much. Moving on, can I get let me find my place here. Call for a timer report.
Yes, sir. All our speakers qualified. Laura, your time was 5 minutes, 29 seconds. Donna, 5 minutes, 31 seconds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And now, if I could have Andrea Ferguson. You're going to go, Andrea, I'm sorry. I always get that wrong. I had a friend when I was young, and it was Andrea, and I never did get it right, and I continue to be that way, so.
At least you're consistent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Andrea.
Andrea.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to ask for volunteers because I always appreciate that. And I will ask you, give you the option of listening to the question first, or being very brave and volunteering to come up and answer a question to a table topic that you are unaware of, that you don't know what it will be. So what would you like?
Give me something happy and I'll talk about it. But I want to know.
Okay. I don't.
Sit back down. Sit back down. Too emotional. Maybe a good one.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Let's see.
everybody else. I
I'll-
try.
Okay, that's okay. I
Okay.
think this one is. Let's try. Let's see if I can tailor this. Okay, what's the most sensible thing you've heard someone say?
Oh, that's good. There's a lot of things that are said during my day. A lot of them not so sensible, a lot of them sensible. But today, I will go with Michael Hornes said something very sensible. We have a lot of legislation that has changed our world in planning and zoning. And he pretty much laid it out on the table for a bunch of engineers and directors of public works. And we had an attorney on the phone. And Michael pretty much summarized that jumbled mess that Texas legislation has rained upon us, and we all understood it. It may not be logical or understandable to you guys, but I walked away and knew exactly what he was talking about. There is engineers, like I said, in the room, and Michael kind of stumped him as well. So I think that's my most entertaining and logical bit of the day. Michael Hornes, ladies and gentlemen.
Sensible indeed.
Sensible, logical, I forgot what it was even about. I changed it for you, Andrea.
Thank you for that. All right. Anyone else? Hey, come on. Hey, now. So, who do you trust and why? Who do you trust and
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'd like to stand up here and tell you I trust politicians, but I would be lying. I'd like to stand up here and tell you I trust all media, but I would be standing up here and lying. I do want to tell you, though, that I do trust the members of the Church-Cibolo Universal City School Board, especially the president of the Church-Cibolo Universal City School Board. It's because he happens to be sitting right behind me. I can't even tell you that I trust myself the most, because I find that I make a goal and then I procrastinate on it. So when I say that I'm going to get it done to myself, I don't get it done. So looking myself in the mirror, I can't tell you that I'm the most trustworthy when it comes to that. But I can look you all in the eye and tell you that we, the school board at Church-Cibolo Universal City, have the kids in mind and their education, and you can trust that. Madam Table Topics.
Jerry? So brave and honest in a room full of politicians?
Yeah.
Now I have to
All
go
right.
get some kids.
Do we have another volunteer? All right. Shankar, tell us, what role does chaos play in life?
Dear Toastmasters, Madam Table Topics Master, chaos has a very important role in life. I don't know if you have noticed, but part of life is going through life and finding your way in all that chaos, right? In other words, you kind of get to know the extremities, the extremes of things, in order to make a decision, what's my path? Where do I feel balanced? And chaos brings that to you. And I can give you a good example of my life. Again, I will draw on my stories from law enforcement so often, but working in the field of fighting human trafficking, prostitution, and financial fraud exposed me to two different kinds of chaos. On the one side, people fighting for the survival, trying to not have to sell their bodies to the night in order to get food. And on the other side, people who have all the money, more money, excessive money, and they need to resort to substance abuse to even feel something. So, extremes of chaos, if you recognize them, help you to find your perfect balance. Madam Table Topics now.
We all know that balance if we can. Thank you.
You have plenty of time.
Okay, all right, so do we have another volunteer? Okay.
Go ahead, baby.
Harlan, tell us, why do we idolize sports players?
Well, that is an excellent question. I asked that question quite honestly myself. One of the things that I have noticed about folks is, right? Okay, so let's go with that. I'll go with my own team, the Houston Texans. So I want them to win a whole lot. I mean, I really am. I'm a huge sports fan for them. But if you've ever been to a game with me, you see me go crazy. Yay, I really am pulling for them. I sit in a very good seat. We're on the second row, right next to where the players come in and out. So I high five the players. It's an awesome place to be. How many autographs of those players do I have? None. They're football players. Go out there and do your job, and I'll scream and yell for you. But I don't need your signature. Why do we do it? Because I think people don't put enough, they don't put their self where they should be. They don't think enough of their self, and therefore they have to put someone else to look up to instead of realizing what their true worth is. And if people would stop trying to idolize others and put the worth of their self out there, I think we would stop that. We'd also stop paying them millions and millions of dollars. We should be idolizing the jobs that teachers do and paying them the way that sports people are. However, not everyone goes to the school to watch the teacher perform. That's just the nature of the way we are. And it's unfortunate. But I think people's self-worth, or lack thereof, is the reason why we put sports figures on a pedestal.
Of course, as a former educator, I highly agree. I wish we would idolize teachers in the U.S. more. Thank you for that. Any other victims? I have a really good one.
I'll go.
All right. Can you please tell us?
I should ask for the question first.
She did give that option.
What's the biggest lie you once believed was true?
That's a tough one.
Because I
Good
believe
question.
anything. The biggest lie. Okay, I have one. The biggest lie that I ever believed, that I can remember anyhow, is when I was a teenager, about 16, I got my driver's license and I got into cars. I started racing them, and I always tried to have the faster car, get something that was nicer than what I started out with, because I was putting my car together. And remember, I was only 16, so I wasn't making that much money. But I ran into a guy that was a friend, or he started dating a friend of mine. And she introduced me to him, and he was supposed to be this, rich guy and what have you. And he wanted to sell me his Corvette really cheap, and I gave him the money. And I lived in El Paso, Texas at the time, and he crossed over the border, and I never saw him again. So I lost out on that money, and that's probably the biggest lie that I can remember.
Camaro, just like.
Are we done?
Yeah.
You can do one more if you want to, I think, yeah. It's, yeah.
Any other volunteers? I'll go easy.
No, you won't.
No, I won't.
You're like,
Are we good?
we can be, yes. Thank
Okay.
you so much. Thanks for everybody. Okay, if I can get a timer's report from Craig.
Yes, sir, Mr. Toastmaster. Donna was 1 minute, 4 seconds. Jerry, 1 minute, 28 seconds. Shankar, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Harlan, 1 minute, 45 seconds. Sean, 1 minute, 37 seconds.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now I get to introduce the man who just told you he gets scammed out of a Corvette by a guy heading to the border. Sean Adams is our general evaluator for the day, and so I want to bring Sean up and he can tell us all about how we did today so far. Thank you.
I was really young at the time, okay? And gullible, obviously. It wasn't that much money. If you really honestly think about it, he was selling me a Corvette for under $100.
That's a good,
At least
It's a
I
good
didn't lose
deal.
out a lot.
Any red flags?
No,
Education, cheap education.
I tell you, he was a good con man. Anyway, so for the meeting, it's good to always start on time. And I know when we first got started, we were having a little bit of a rough time. I think we're improving on that. Today we started really good. We started on time. I think we were only like a minute, according to my watch, but everybody's watch is different, so we may have started earlier on somebody else's watches. I think the evaluators did really good. I think
wait, hold on.
the us again.
We haven't done the
We
evaluation
haven't
yet.
done- we haven't done evaluation, so, but I appreciate the 4.
Are we supposed to do the evaluators first?
So somebody help me, because I am the Toastmaster right now, I'm gonna screw this up, but my understanding is that Sean, you're supposed to introduce the evaluators.
Right.
And
Oh,
then the evaluators
okay.
go, and then at the end, you're gonna do a full-blown evaluation of all of it.
Oh, okay, I got
Alright.
you. Okay.
So, here.
This is my first time.
No,
So,
you're doing great.
No problem.
I introduced the evaluators, which is, our first evaluator is Harlan Pickett.
First off, I want to say, even though I'm just evaluating one speaker today, both of you were extremely powerful in what you spoke about today. Anytime someone starts speaking about things that happened in their lives and you open up the way both of you did, you can't help but feel
you were there and feel the connection with those folks. So I appreciate both of you very much in the way in what you, the content of what you brought to us today. It was very powerful. Now, Laura, directly to you, I could see that station wagon. I could see that shelf. I could see the sky. That was awesome. You gave us visual cues that put us in that time and that place. I was running with y'all, by the way, because when it was time to go, you want that key spot. I mean, that is the spot, right? Okay, so I was right there with y'all. That was incredible view. I love the way you used driven all the way through it, the way it changed from driven to driven to driven, and now driven a whole. It went full circle. That was awesome the way you did that. A couple of things that I noticed you may be able to improve on. You started out a little slow over here. You were a little shaky. It's okay. What you were fixing to talk about was very personal to you. And so I understand that you started off a little on the slow side. But I want to commend you because as you got further in and opened up some more, you got out here and you got right here with us. And that was very impressive because I was very afraid you were going to stay over here in your shell, and you did not. So kudos to you for getting out of there. A couple other things I think that you could work on is your eye contact. You spend a little too much time looking at your paper. I understand you wanted to stay there, but your eye contact needed to be a little bit more. We were very engaged with you, but you weren't as engaged with us because of that. But I definitely know that the content you had, it had us all on edge waiting for the next part. All of us were just filled with joy and then distraught, and then it just kept going back and forth, and you did a great job in bringing those feelings to us.
Okay, our next evaluator is Shane Carr.
Donna, as someone who has worked with people who had to go through similar situations in life, I think one of the biggest things I can tell you today is the fact that you are able to stand in front of this group and talk about it in the way that you did shows how incredibly strong you are and how much you were able to be your own best friend and therapist. And that is not to be taken for granted. You could have led a life in a low-G way, but you chose to become a very active, participating part of community. The fact, communication always has to do with who is my audience. And you knew who your audience was, and you chose to pick a topic that sensitive and personal. And it shows and attests to the trust you have in this group of people. And I think I can speak for us all that we are grateful and humbled that you see us as such. You started off in a way that you caught me within the first 5 seconds. I immediately knew, ooh, there's going to be something very powerful and personal that will be discussed here. And you had 150% of my attention. And that is the perfect start for any speech. You were vulnerable and emotional, but still managed to have a clear language to be understandable. And that also attests to great speaking capabilities. You could have easily become sensitive and let your tears take over and become not understandable and become unstructured in your speech delivery, but that did not happen. I felt that your eye contact was good, you took brief glances at your notes, but then you lifted your eyes again and looked at us. Your gestures also appropriate. The only recommendation that I have is, and that was probably due to the nature of your speech that really worked yourself up, your pacing was a little bit too much, and it was probably just a way for you to deal with the internal emotions. Again, being able to have gone through this and talk about love, friends, raising kids, breaking the cycle, that is incredibly powerful. Thank you for delivering this speech.
Is this what you want me to do now?
Yeah, you're doing that part. Yeah.
Okay, so, I guess we gotta call for a timers report.
Yes, sir. Harlan, your evaluation was 2 minutes, 28 seconds. Shankar, yours was 3 minutes and 9 seconds.
I'm a little logy today, so excuse me if I mess up here. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with the WAG.
Just call for the report.
Oh, okay, the
ask
report
her
for the
report.
WAG. Okay, that's a, huh?
Call Teresa.
Okay.
Call for Teresa.
Teresa, the
Okay.
WAG report.
I think hands down, we have a winner for the word of the day. And you pronounced it
Logi?
Logi.
Or I pronounced it Andrea when it's.
That's true. So I don't know, do we give him, it's Logi.
I'll take money. It's fine.
Let's go ahead and collect a pot. You are by far, I got my right there too. So you won those, but you also won the Oz. So I don't know how much, how far do we go into this? As
No,
far
this
as-
is.
That's good.
As
Yeah.
far as I want to go?
Yeah.
Donna, Laura, I honestly stopped counting, and you like so, you like but I was like, who cares? You had me. Other than that, I think we're all really good. Sean, you like
Yes.
And then it was just scattered. It was great. So that's it. Thank you.
So overall, I think the meeting went well, except for my part. A lot of times, but we started on time. I think we're good on time now. We did a lot of table topics. There you go. I like that. Don't forget, as guests, you're welcome to join in and do table topics if you like. We're not going to force you to do it, but of course, you know, you're welcome to get up here and give it a shot, see how it is.
You do.
As far as the speakers go, you guys did really well. The evaluation is here to help you improve. I think when we call each other up to the podium, I think we need to, not that we need to, my suggestion is to remember to handshake every time. I know I forget it, and I'm sure everybody else does too. And that's all I have.
All right, I ran out of room on the agenda there, so I have no idea what's happening next. I asked Shankar, and he said it's just time to close it out. I would like to say that all of these things that we are working towards and striving towards, for those folks who've been in Toastmasters for a while, they seem to have a really good grasp on that. I think one of the things that I want to intimate to all of you tonight is that they were all like us at one point. They were all standing up here umming and eyeing and forgetting to shake hands and forgetting to do all the things that we can do. And it's a process. It's all a process. It's going to take us a while to get to where we're exceptionally good at that, and I think that's what each and every person here is going to become, is an exceptional speaker. So with that, I will give it to Shankar to close us out.
Thank you, Michael. I would like to give our guest a chance to introduce himself, tell us what you do, and also, if you like, what was your impression of the meeting, if you would give us feedback.
Come up there, stand up.
As you wish.
All right. Just say thank you guys for letting me come and sit in this afternoon. I've known Shankar for a while. I'm Steve Perry. I'm a residential realtor. I'm a dad of 3 kids, and I'm often looking for an opportunity to improve my own abilities to communicate with everybody that I interact with. So it isn't just about my profession, it's just everything we do day-to-day life. So I thought this would be a really neat opportunity to come and see what you guys are doing. I have some other friends and some other Toastmaster groups, and they speak very highly of it. So I just wanted to start off coming out here, seeing your group, and thinking I'm going to join. So thank you guys for letting me do
Thank you. We did very, very well this time with signing up for roles in advance. Please do so again. After I have adjourned the meeting, I will happily take notes as to which role you want to do next week. Also, the website lets you sign up yourself. Is there anything else we need to say?
I'd just like to mention one thing. I had spoke with Laura about this earlier. As you go through and you get on your pathway, there is access to evaluation forms for each pathway. So if you find yourself doing an evaluation, say for myself, Shankar, somebody, find out what pathway they are on. I texted Laura this morning to find out, and it turns out, of course, the icebreakers, there's no different. But once they move to the next ones, the evaluation forms are different for different paths. And then, of course, one of the things they recommend you do is you ask the person what they're really working on. What are your focus? And that helps you better evaluate what to help them with. But the evaluation forms are specifically designed depending on the path that you go on. So even if you want to, I was thinking about it, what if I just printed out all the ones for me, and then I don't know, it doesn't matter who it is, and whenever I get here, whoever's evaluating me, I can make sure that they have that form. So if you want an evaluation based on your pathway, that may be the best way to do it, so you're getting the best evaluation, and you don't have, somebody doesn't have to worry about going and finding yours, but just print out your evaluation forms, bring them with you, and then whoever the evaluator is, you can give them to them. Just make sure you give them a little bit of time to review it, because they're not all the same. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, that's a very good comment, and there are a lot of internal processes to Toastmasters, and Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we just chartered, and they will slowly take us and also coach the leadership, and you will see that the distinct roles like the VP of Education or the VP of Public Relations, they will all become more active and also educate you as to what their roles are and how that kind of impacts how the meetings are held. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yes.
I also wanted to say something. I am a fan of apps, and so when you're thinking about what role you want to take, it will make your life easier if you are WAG or if you're Timer to download the app. Because we're chartered now, we have a login, so just go ahead and put in your username, your password, and you can select whatever role it is. While you're here, you don't have to keep track of paper, you can just press it automatically. And there's a drop-down menu that will give you the name of whoever it is that you're evaluating or who's speaking or whoever you're timing. If you want to do that, that would be very helpful. Also, my iPad's going around so you can select a role if you haven't before. We encourage you to do so. You can take my role if you want to, because I've done a lot.
Okay, and I believe Laura, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to recommend, as the VP of Education in my first official capacity, that everyone who hasn't yet logged in and started exploring the pathways and the awards and the different levels that you can pursue, So please go ahead and do that. In advance of the visitor that we have on the 30th, they've asked us to fill out a tracking sheet which tracks our progress towards a distinguished club. And in there are requirements to have certain numbers of individuals seeking different awards and different levels of certification. So I think it would help us as a group to understand what everyone's goals are related to either earning those levels or different awards you're interested in pursuing, so that we know how we can start thinking about how we might approach working towards that goal of the distinguished chapter. Obviously, we just started, so it's just for us to get to know each other and what each other's goals are, so we can start thinking about who can help move us forward on different areas of that. I guess it's the certification level for the chapter. So I would appreciate it if you start becoming familiar, and then as we have that visitor, I'm hoping he will also explain a lot of that to us, but in advance you can look and see what areas you might be interested in as far as awards or levels within the organization.
Donna?
And also, next Monday is our regular meeting day on the 16th, correct? Is that the 16th? Michael and I might be a little bit late, not here at 5 o'clock. We'll be coming from working a golf tournament for the Rotary. So just bear with us in getting here.
Sure, you'll be golfing. I'll be watching people golf. That's the saddest part of that.
I just don't want Craig to be at the door at 5 o'clock and us not come in till like right at 5:20 or so. But just bear with us in getting back there.
Okay, thank you.
I'll slack off for you.
And what I might do, Shankar, is just get someone to open up, and then we may slide in to where you guys already have access to the building at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
We could meet in the parking
No, we'll have it unlocked. I know that we're gonna be fighting every bit to get back.
Mid-90s.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you all for your comments and remarks, and with this, I adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.